I see numbers moving. It's a good sign.
Yep.
The battery was dead, so we're charging it. We're
multitasking.
We're multitasking as we go. So thanks everybody for joining us again on a Family Through Service, a VTVG video podcast. This is the first one of 2022.
Yes, 2022.
So how did you spend New Year's Eve?
I actually stayed up. We had some company over. I didn't stay up till midnight. I stayed up till about 11. I don't typically do well once my medicine takes part. So, but we had company over, and everybody was playing video games and hanging out and eating, and I did have a drink. I had an adult beverage.
An adult beverage. Was it a malt? Was it malt liquor?
It was Captain and Coke. So,
Captain and Coke.
I haven't had something like that in a long time.
I'm familiar with that.
So,
it would kill me now.
Yes.
But I am familiar with it from the before time. I was in bed and asleep, luckily, by 9:30.
Did anybody in your house celebrate New Year's?
No.
We
haven't celebrated New Year's Eve, the celebration of our humanity's successful rotation around the sun for for some time now. Back when I could drink and I was able to drink and not die, and I think before we had, even after we had Matthew, but before we had Patrick, I think Jen and I did celebrate with friends a little bit, and it was kind of like a thing. And when my brother Steven came out, we celebrated because his wife Marta, she's from Spain, she's a Spaniard. She showed us a couple European traditions.
Oh, that's cool.
So we stayed up for that, but to celebrate it per se, it's not something that we do. I don't personally consider it a holiday, especially even more so now since I don't drink.
Too,
like pots and pans clanging.
New Year's for people who have little kids, celebrating New Year's is kind of like celebrating Valentine's Day when you have nobody to be with. It's really pointless.
It's it's definitely a younger person.
My
if
kids
you're raised
are a
that
little
way,
bit older,
fine,
so they see some excitement, and it happened to be on a Saturday.
To be fair, it's not like we've never celebrated it before. We have.
But you guys have two little ones that if they're not in bed at a certain time, your entire weekend is going to be ruined too.
Oh, fuck yeah. It would be bad news. I did see an interesting observation on Instagram or something, and it said they circled the 29th, the 30th, and the 31st of December, and it said even 2021 ended with WTF. So I thought that was kind of
that is awesome,
a neat observation. And Betty White, she said fuck it to 2022, and she died New Year's Eve. Bad omen for this year.
But 99 years old.
In all seriousness, she lived a full life,
and she was a veteran in the Army medical field.
Army Medical Field, Army Air Corps, I think, at the time when she was in. And so was B. Arthur. She was a Marine.
She was in the Marine, so... Yeah.
And you never would know this stuff about these actresses and actors. And we talked about that in one of our podcasts, maybe a video podcast.
Especially with her, she is
woman,
a home name from Golden Girls. Yeah. And then you hear her stand up or her roast.
And you're like, whoa.
That's a very different person.
It's kind of like Bob Saget when you see him on Full House, and you're like, oh, what a wholesome man. And then you hear his stand up, and you're like, not a wholesome man. Not a wholesome routine. No.
When you hear her stand up, then you can see the veteran in her. You're like, okay,
You're like,
I see it.
Oh, she is a veteran. I gotcha. I see where this goes.
But it is sad, but we have lost a lot of great actors, comedians in the last few years. Specifically, since we've known each other in the last 10 years, we've lost some amazing people.
Robin Williams. That's a big stand-up.
All these great people, and it's...
who's next on the chopping block is Mick Jagger.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, he's partially
British,
formaldehyded out, but...
but he's like...
He's British.
I think he's,
he's Brit, but, you know, it's still.
I think him and the Queen of England are like sucking the souls out of children or something to stay alive.
I think that's partially it. That's partially it. Speaking of veterans, the Queen, I think, is a veteran.
She is.
Not only by virtue of her monarchy, but I think she also served.
She did serve as well, yeah.
Yeah. But speaking of Veterans to Veterans group, it was a very successful year for us. Again, we've grown leaps and bounds as an organization.
It was incredible this year.
And this is the first year that we've been able to backlog, right? We backlogged our logs.
Yeah.
And you put together a full-on budget with the numbers that our treasurer gave you.
Yeah. Yes.
And you were able to catalog the different categories of service that we've done, income and expenses from what Jen gave you, but you cataloged our categories of expenses, and so now we can see where our money went into these categories. I keep saying that word, but you know what we took in and what we put out into these areas, and we can see, you know, where our bulk goes, like you know, utilities, rent, assistance, like crisis, emergency need, gift,
and I'll tell you,
and it was a staggering sum.
It really was.
When you're in the middle of it, it doesn't seem that way, right?
Well, and I mean, I think when Jen guessed, she guessed like a third less of what we actually brought in. But
we both kind of smiled. We were like, no.
What was more amazing than that is the fact that when we look at our expenses, and we literally spent between 90 and 95% of what we brought in, we actually had spent on clients.
Yep. We took it in, came into our treasury, and right back out to client services. Yeah.
And that's something we always make jokes at our events, you know, picking on Jen, and she brings money in, and we try and get it out as fast as she can bring it in. But
this shows it.
And I think in most organizations, when they become established in their infancy years like we are, that is always the goal.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we have been able to uphold what our mission is with that.
I agree. And we keep our overhead very low.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, not just because we're a volunteer run organization, but because of the rest of our overhead bills and such. The way we've structured it is really low, and that's all the more we can give to our clients.
And, you know, honestly, one of our biggest overhead expenses is making copies of our applications for our clients. Is that 5-page
Isn't
packet.
that weird? Yeah.
It is so.
And people don't realize that when you make copies, it's exceedingly and absurdly expensive to go to Staples and make copies, and that's cheaper than if we printed out copies for everybody.
Yeah, if we, you know, we have a good printer, but I mean, to replace that ink every month or so, and how much paper we would have to, you know, it would be very, very difficult.
It really would be, and I think it's exponentially more cost effective to get the copies made our way.
Yeah.
Through Staples.
No, I agree.
Than to run the printer that we have.
And plus, we don't have to dick with trying to figure out how to do all these things on an office printer opposed to an industrial printer where everything is very simple.
Plus, we could just run 100 copies, 500 copies, really, 100 of each page, and zip them out, and we stand there for 20 minutes bullshitting with the guy at the kiosk.
And what I like too is that it puts it in the packet, so every 5th page it separates it slightly, so that it's easy to work with.
Yeah, it collates it for us, and I think that's an extra penny, big whoop.
But
and that's cool.
The icing on the cake, so to speak, this year was our special program for the holidays, the Thanksgiving, Christmas.
Talk about success after success after success. Last year, Village Gun Store came to the rescue of our Christmas program single-handedly. And this year we were able, and it was a great success. But this year we were like, wow, that's amazing. But this year we launched past that as a success.
Oh my goodness! Like last year we had the goal of 10 with 5 overflow,
and that was because COVID was hitting everybody last year.
But we filled that, and I think we actually had 17 families for Thanksgiving
because of some emergency situation.
This year we had a full 20. Our goal was 20 with actually our goal was 15 with 20.
Yes, 5 overflow.
And so we had 20 for Thanksgiving, but we ended up covering almost 25 families. I think it was 23 families for food and toys for families, and we split it so that so many were community-based, so many were towards DCYF,
and then client-based,
and then the last group was for actively serving National Guard and Reserve people in the New Hampshire area. And it was just like we created a reputation that may be very difficult for us to maintain, honestly.
It's gonna be tough. But in spite of that success, we had a mountain of toys left over that we divvied up and donated to the community. It was just an unbelievable amount of toys that we were able to divvy up, and it was
we had 4 families from the local police station we gave to, on top of our 22, and then we had 2 churches I think we ended up giving to, and neither one are like a church that you belong to.
No, of course not. No.
So which is,
but they're churches that have programs for needy families.
But it really shows how much we're willing to go outside of our comfort zone, because it would be easier to go to your church and be like, hey, we got these extra toys. When you're going to other denominations, or for someone like me who doesn't go to church, it really shows how much our mission means to us, opposed to any personal beliefs, so long as, you know, obviously we're not going to go to any facility or organization that has a reputation of hurting people or condoning violence and stuff. So
with that as an exception, we go out, like you said, out of our comfort zone, and I think that's very telling, because we're not officially affiliated with churches and things like that. We just give to whoever's in need.
What was probably one of the coolest things I think for our holiday was that I have a family member who lives up in the Vermont area, and they have been talking so much about our organization, and he's done music for us. So much so that his wife's father, so his father-in-law, who owns a business, sent us a check for $1,000 as a donation. And they, you know, my cousin and his wife didn't even know about it. We had no idea.
No, it only came in.
This is coming from Warren, Rhode Island, so southern Rhode Island, and but our reputation is getting out there, and it's affecting people. This family has 2 sons that are veterans, and then a daughter who is married to an active duty. So this is something very near and dear to their heart, but it was so unexpected for us.
And it's a great thing to get a check donation like that, because not only was it around the Christmas season, it was a very hefty, very generous gift. And it was a lovely thing to get so unexpectedly, like we were both saying. And it goes right to our program for the needy people in our community. And that's what they want. They know that the checks that they give us is going to go right back to the people.
That was their thing. And then to return the favor, we did this really nice certificate and a really nice frame. And it actually brought the donor to tears. He was, but these are the type of people we like to deal with. People who don't put so much value in the monetary things, but in the heartfelt things is what's important. And we have a great relationship with a lot of amazing people like ourselves that would much rather deal with the heartfelt stuff than have excessive thousands of dollars, you know?
Yeah, it's not about what's in the bank account, it's about what you can do with what you have. Although, to be fair, in spite of our best efforts of spending the money that our treasurer and other people bring in, our treasury has slowly been ticking up.
It has. I mean, 5% of, you know, $10,000 is still like $500, and every time, you know,
and which is great, because then when we get a big case come in, we don't have to feel, oh, there's nothing we can do. We say, okay, let's take a look at this. Let's sit down together with the board, and let's take a real hard look at this and see what we can do to help.
And it does make things difficult when we have to say, we can't help, we can try and find other organizations, especially if it's the time-sensitive thing. So you're absolutely right, being able to provide when those time-sensitive situations happen.
But for right now, we just arrived at our location. We will be back with you shortly.
All right.
Thanks.
Affiliates.
Part 2.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us again. Or welcome back, depending on how you want to look at it.
Yes.
The first one was about 15 minutes long. This one will probably be, we went to the next town over, Whitefield. But, yeah, so one of the things you just mentioning, we should mention our affiliates, what you were saying. One of the things I think that makes our program so very successful are the businesses that work with us.
And you know what it is, and we talk about this briefly in a lot of our videos as far as
and on social media
and politics. It's far more about the people who believe in the mission than it is about what their personal politics or religion and beliefs are.
Because at the end of the day, as far as V2VG is concerned, it's mission first.
Well, yeah, we have no, we have no position on the position. So,
right, officially.
Yeah, and and I understand there are always going to be companies, especially in small towns
like where we
in
live,
the North Country, that have to deal with different types of political blowback and stuff. But
and that's par for the course. I mean, you're going to get that wherever you live, and when you're an organization like ours and you affiliate with other organizations, there's going to be some resistance when you bring other organizations in. There's going to be something there at some point, and I think it's imperative for us to maintain that neutrality and say we don't care for the most part, as long as you're willing to help us help others with in our mission and our scope.
And again, as long as political jumbo one way or the other is meaningless to us. If there was some genuine proof that a business or organization was doing something harmful to the area or what, that would be a different thing for us to explore.
Yeah.
But when it's just political hearsay, we have to, I guess, make our best individual judgment and collectively as the executives.
Yeah.
And we've had to go, one of our first few videos, we had to really put our foot down with people who were trying to connect dots that didn't exist. And
so people sometimes will connect dots, like you said, that don't exist, or make a stretch or a leap and connect organizations that are affiliated with us when they're not connected. Their only connection is loosely with us. It's like, hey, hold on, because organization A and organization B both support veterans to veterans group doesn't mean they support each other.
Exactly, and the thing is
they are separate.
We're still so small that it's not like people are buying our airtime or us to promote for them.
To
or anything
use the
else.
word of the day, we're not shills for anybody.
Exactly,
If there's anybody out there who wants to pay us, I have a personal PayPal account,
right? I mean, but with that being said,
I can be bought.
This year we've
I'm just fucking around.
had some really great opportunities.
Yeah.
And our basic ones that have been every year.
We've had repeat supporters.
The Village Gun Store.
Big supporter, long-time supporter.
The Little Book and Toy Store. Is it the Little Book or the Little Tin Book?
Little Village Toy and Book Store.
Little Village, that's what it is.
Again, long-time supporter, huge supporter of our mission.
And, and they both stepped it up huge, and for the holidays specifically, like unbelievably. Who else did we work with this year?
We have
the co-op.
The co-op.
Littleton Co-op.
Was
awesome.
Big Papa's has helped us sometimes as a business.
They always give us
potatoes and things.
So,
and we also have private donors that help us. We had the Elevate Church across the street from our office stepped up and really made it possible for us to have a temperature controlled place to put the baskets together.
Because we had so many that we just simply couldn't do it in our office.
No, it was too much stuff.
That was really, really nice of them.
And it was sort of last minute because we did have Faith Bible Church, which we've utilized years past, but because of their personal or their businesses' COVID restrictions, they had to pull back from helping us this year.
And we
came
lost
to our-
that personal connection to somebody who was part of the staff there.
Yes.
So
So for a couple of reasons that fell through.
Yeah.
But we have a Village Gun Store, Little Village Toy and Bookstore, Big Papa's. We also have Profido's Market and Deli.
I always forget about them.
They've come through for us a couple times and given us wholesale prices.
Yeah, that's always great because, I mean, you know, but what led us to even be able to have such high numbers for our holidays was that we were invited to participate in what is called the Kamek 5K, and it's you know, it's a race ran by so many locals and stuff, and then there's a lot of nonprofit vendors that come, and we were invited to go by some workers from the Casella Waste Systems.
Yeah, NCES, the Casella Waste Systems.
And we happened to win.
And we were a walk-on organization, first time, right?
Yep.
First year. And like Chuck said, we won.
And
in spite of us being the first time there, and
we weren't
to the surprise of everybody.
We weren't promoting. We were just talking to people and doing what we do, and you know, and
we told people our mission. We had little
the wristbands,
yes,
which a lot of people really enjoyed because it was not hot but muggy, very humid day.
And at the end of the day, because it was Chuck and I, and this is a tradition,
and we were in Littleton.
It rained. It's pouring rain, pouring rain. So we won just under $3,000.
And unanimously, our board of directors, we allotted that entire money to the holiday program, which made us feel a little bit more comfortable reaching out to other organizations for families to help.
Yeah, because then we could afford to buy the turkeys and the hams and the sides without dipping into our standard treasury, which is our general treasury. We had a fund set aside.
And you know what was amazing? I think between Thanksgiving and Christmas, we spent right around, for food only, around $1,200.
Yeah.
And then
it came out to like $30 a person, all told. Yeah.
And then we decided to go for gift cards for teenagers.
Yeah.
So from 12 to 15, those were donated to us by Casella, which was cool. But the 16 and up, we did $50 gift cards, and so that cost us another $500 something. So that still kept us below the $2,000, which was still so amazing that we were able to do all this.
And we did that because the older teenagers, you know, they want to use the gift cards for fuel for their car.
With inflation and all that.
Yeah, you know, it's harder to find gifts for older kids than it is to, you know, try to pick something out and, like, you know, what are you going to get? What are you going to get a 16-year-old boy? And it's like,
well, the thing is, too, you know, we do a lot of driving, whether it be to clients' houses or whatever the case is, and or in the holiday season back and forth to these stores. We understand what the price of gas is, and even up here where it's not outstanding compared to, say, in California or you know, on the Middle East Coast. So we just wanted to do something, or give the teenagers something that they can genuinely benefit from.
A little extra,
you know,
a little extra, and we had the funds for it, and that's special. And I think that because it was so successful this year, because we planned ahead in time for it, I think that we are going to be making every effort to do that planning stage so far in advance again. I think we did the preliminary plans like 5-6 months out. Yeah,
I think well, we unintentionally, our competition for the holidays has been the Toys for Tots. So we've been basing our time frame of stuff when they put their stuff out, because otherwise we just get swept away.
We are local. We are local. So, but Toys for Tots is a great organization.
And
it's a national organization, but they're very well known. Everybody knows Toys for Tots.
Yes, and you know, in a lot of the places that do our boxes will do Toys for Tots, and it ends up being divvied up pretty close. Yeah. So the only difference is they know exactly where our stuff is going, and we can provide those receipts where Toys for Tots, you just can't. It's such a big organization.
Yeah, it goes to a hub and then it goes out. And like Chuck said, the hub is Littleton, New
down
Hampshire.
the street from everywhere we dealt with it. So.
And then it goes out to down the street. So there's that, but it's very successful. We've also had great success with a couple years in a row with the Littleton Chevrolet, one of the major car dealerships here. Very generous dealership and generous management there.
Bought cars from them. At
Multiple
some point,
cars from me.
So
they are the management there and the staff are very generous to our organization. We've also had, chain stores that help us out, less in great ways, but repeatedly.
Yes, and the
Shaw's
only two
and
we
Walmart.
have are Shaw's and Walmart. That's the only thing we have as far as chain
Now,
wise.
they don't do big donations, but they do repeated donations, and
Yes,
they donate their space to us to have events there. Sometimes, like solicitation.
Yeah, and our bake sales or
Bake sales.
things like that.
So
for sure.
and that helps also. So if they don't donate monetarily or financially to us, they do donate their space, which helps us get the word out about our organization.
No, absolutely, and
And ultimately, that's the goal.
And we talk about this often in the office about, like, we question, like, how is it we're having, like, 2 or 3 cases come up on us a week, and we're like, we don't advertise. Our advertising is word of mouth.
Yeah, literally.
And with that being said, I really have to give a shout out to White River Junction, VA.
Yeah.
They're willing to work with us, and we've created a good relationship there. The Littleton VA Clinic.
Now the CBOC here in town.
We deal with at least weekly. Who else? Oh, the Care Coordinator Program.
Yep.
Which is based in the southern part of New Hampshire, but they work with actually active members of the National Guard and Reserves.
Yep.
And then who else? Tri-County CAP.
Yep.
We've had some good relationships with them.
And a big one for us that we have huge success in partnering with is the Easter Seals.
Yes, and
of New Hampshire.
They're such great people.
Yeah.
They're willing to. They're one of the few that are willing to partner with us specifically as far as money going out of the organizations.
Yeah.
So instead of an individual needing $1,000 for a bill, we can split it a 500 or
Yeah.
300, 700, whatever it is, and they're very grateful to be able to do that, because that means more for more
clients.
opportunities for
Yeah.
other clients and stuff.
The goal, the end goal, of course, is to help the people. It's not about the money, at least for us.
No, for sure.
It's about helping the people, because these people aren't numbers. They're human beings. They have a story. They have a situation. They need help. We also have a couple of private foundations that we work great with.
Yes.
And we also have, Chuck, you have a very good relationship with the director and owner of Freedom Fuels.
Which is great. Yeah, he's the second generation owner.
Yeah.
And I think he's getting ready to step down, but he has been great. This is an organization that will provide up to 100 gallons or equivalent of oil, wood, chips, whatever type of heating.
Yeah.
But it's a once in a lifetime
Like emergency
service.
emergency for heating. But up here in the North Country, that's vital.
It really is. And
When somebody says, "Hey, I need help with my heat," and you say, "I can help you immediately," and it doesn't come out of E2VG's treasury, that's so vital to get them the help they need.
And it does help them later, because if they do need stuff, we can still help financially, and which we've been able to do with a few different clients, which is nice.
And then we have clients, and there's other businesses too. Then we have clients who, when they get back on their feet and things are going well for them, they don't forget about us. And they it's not that they will send us a donation or two, which a couple of them have.
Yeah.
But more importantly than that, way more importantly than that, they get in touch with us to say thank you. They send us a thank you card for Christmas, or a blurb on social media. And that's special.
None of our clients have gotten, they've always been in tough spots, but none of them are at a point where they're multimillionaires all of a sudden.
No.
But the things that they do that help, like you said, the cards and the phone calls, but also they show up at all of our events. Every one of our yard sales. Okay, we have 4 or 5 yard sales a year. If they drop $10, $20 per one, and you know that ends up being $100 for the year, that's huge for us. That really makes a difference. And you know, and plus it's a way for us to keep our communication with these people alive.
Yeah, because it's important to remember we do not charge for our services ever.
And that was one of the main points we started when we created our mission.
The mission has always been to help people and to not charge for our services, and we'll get paid back in other ways. And one of the ways to get paid back is by telling people that we're the real deal. We want to help people as much as we can, and to be good stewards of the resources that we have.
Yeah, and you know, we tell them our story. We talk about different issues you've had within the VA or moving up here in your hot water tank busting, furnace, you know, furnace, things I dealt with. So they easily feel a connection and being able to understand that we are people too.
Well, yeah, neither one of us, Chuck, you or I, and the members of our board, none of us are multimillionaires by any stretch of imagination. And
I'm not even a single millionaire.
And we've all been in positions where we've needed help before.
And that's the goal, right? And
so, like, we've been there.
And I know.
What do we always hear? I don't like asking for help.
Yes, and neither do we, right? We come into these things, and typically, I know we don't like to pat ourselves on the back, but I think this year has been so obvious and so reoccurring that we've been hearing is the simple thank you of listening to the story. Organizations just take the pertinent information and then send it on its way. We take the pertinent information, and then we want to know, how did you get to this point?
Yeah.
Like,
what's your story?
And like, what are your goals to get out of it? How can we help with that stuff?
And what else is wrong? I'm actually going to go to VIP.
Oh, okay.
And what else is just like, okay, so you need help with your car insurance. All right. Because you need your car payment to get to the hospital. Okay, fine. But then you always ask, are you okay with your electric bill or your heating bill? Are you okay with food? What else is going on in your life that you may or may not need help with?
Well, yeah,
because you're a person, you have a whole situation.
And we understand, you know, when you do go to ask for help, normally you have a priority list, and you only will reach for that single priority. Well, we don't like to just put that down and sweep you under the rug, and just people being, even if we haven't been able to help a lot, just listening to their story and being able to validate whatever they are going through changes their mood enough to be able to get through the next few days.
Every time. What do we always hear? Thank you for listening, or no one's ever asked me before.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's one of those things I really want to, you know, pat ourselves on the back for and be prideful about, because it continues even with cases we recently dealt with where we have a veteran who has cancer, and you know, yes, he's an older veteran. They've, you know, both lived some good life, but his wife is very just unsure. And the simple fact of me saying, I will go to the church with you to find prices out on the services, meant so much to her. It brought her to tears. But those are the type of things that we try to do.
Yeah.
As one as the caseworkers, but more importantly, we're the president and vice president of the organization, so we are the face. Unfortunately, we're not prettier, but we are the ones that people tend to see first, and so it's great to be able to maintain all of that for their sake.
Yeah, and they definitely know that when they hear us, that we're the real deal. We don't put on airs. You always say, look, we're not in a position to promise anything. We're not in a position to promise things.
I always promise to do the best we can. Yeah. and they accept that. So
I promise to try our best, and we do. And I think that goes a long way in letting them know that we are what we say we are, and we'll do what we say we're going to do, which is try our best.
Well, and you know, what more could you ask from an organization or a group of people who you're asking for help is at least just some validation and understanding.
And that they'll try.
So,
not that we'll have a success at it, but that we'll try. And I think at the end of the day, no matter what organization you go through, whether it's a big national organization or a small mom and pop organization like V2VG, you want the caseworkers there to listen to you, and you want them to try to do what's best for you and your situation, because they're not numbers, they are people.
yeah.
And you do matter,
And it doesn't matter to us if it takes an hour to sit and listen to your story. Sometimes it's a 10-minute thing. We don't put numbers on that either, unless we have some pertinent thing going on. Unfortunately,
we don't say, okay, hurry up, unless there's something else scheduled.
But we have worked hard at creating and maintaining that reputation.
Yeah.
And of all the things I think that is talked about us is the fact that we treat our clients as individuals, and we try and validate and be as understanding as possible.
And we listen.
We listen. Well, you listen.
I listen, you talk.
Sometimes I don't do either. I play solitaire on the computer. No, that's not true.
What are you doing?
Click.
We're writing stuff down. But yeah, that's what we do. And again, like we always say, if you know anybody who needs help, or if you need help, reach out to us on Facebook. Our email, which is veterans2veteransgroup@gmail.com, just like it sounds. Veterans, the digit 2, right? Veterans2veteransgroup@gmail.com, or our number 603-966-0201.
Yep.
Give us a call, send us an email, or send us a message on Facebook.
Like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube videos, please.
Yeah, because we're trying to get monetized if we can, to generate income, so that income can be used for clients. So thank you very much.